Long periods of dry weather involve a lot of watering, and it can be the bane of the gardener's life. Lots of toing and froing, trying to keep plants sufficiently quenched. So here's how to reduce the watering requirements for your plants, and it's really easy to do. The first thing is to water at the right time of day. So there's no point watering in the middle of a hot summer's day, because the water that you apply will effectively evaporate a lot of it into the atmosphere. So if you water early in the morning or later on in the evening when conditions are cooler, then that will help ensure the water goes down where it's needed most, into the soil around your precious plants. If you also water more deeply, so if you water for longer rather than a quick surface watering, that will then enable the water that you put in to actually permeate much deeper down into the ground, where it can stay around for longer. The other thing that's really important to do is to actually water the ground and not the plant foliage, especially if you have blight, so if you're looking at potato plants or tomato plants. But also anyway, it's much easier for the water again to evaporate off the leaves and effectively be wasted. So you want to actually water on the ground. The other thing to do, if you have particularly water hungry plants like the Mediterranean plants like tomatoes or cucumbers, is when you've watered, and if you know if there's a long period of heat and sunshine forecast, then to actually get a mulch, effectively, to mulch the actual plant in question. So you can either use some compost. This can be lovingly home produced garden compost. You can also use a variety of other things. You can use leaf mould, you can use straw, you can also use grass cuttings as well. Again, you just want a thin layer of grass cuttings. All of this will work to actually keep the moisture in the soil where it's needed. And the final tip is to actually try and use ground cover where you can around particularly water hungry planting. So very, very light on the soil plants such as lettuce or herbs or things like rocket will actually, they won't drain nutrients out of the soil, but they can be used to actually protect the soil and prevent it from drying out quite so quickly. So if you imagine bare soil is much more vulnerable to the glare of the sun than soil that is actually has some kind of covering.